All right, bang, bang. Today is Tuesday. It is January 18th. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. Here with Chief. Chief, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Ed. How you doing?
Good. Nice little wild card weekend under our belts.
What do you think about doing it on the Monday night, the extra day?
I like it, but I wish they did 3 games on Saturday rather than three on Sunday.
I wish they did 3 and 3.
Do you?
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like
I'm
is
going to withhold judgment and see how I feel tonight, but initially I was thinking it would have been
really?
nice. Yeah.
I make sure the cracker is spread nice and even. I like that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Like that.
An extra day for the other teams is a competitive advantage too.
Yeah, for sure. I just like the Saturday games.
I love the Saturday.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
one of my wild card weekends, like one of the best weekends of the year.
It's awesome. That's why I don't know why and I know Sunday's their day. You know, they like to dominate Sunday, but you'll dominate Saturday too.
Yeah, everybody would have watched a 12 o'clock Saturday game.
Yeah, dude, the fucking Cowboys fans and the Eagles fans were going to show up at noon on Saturday too.
Yeah. How about, did you see Aikman was like so pissed that little clip where he's like, yeah, I wish I could have done the 49ers Cowboys game. Going to be a great game. It was third quarter when the Eagles were getting blown out.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
He was salty the way it broke down.
But
I agree.
Got to keep the bias out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, Harry?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, better off having Romo do that game for sure.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, good weekend, right? You had a good time?
Great weekend.
Great weekend?
Yep.
Before we kick it off, obviously, Chief, before we get into our topic, we got to talk about the products that are on our desks. If you're watching this on YouTube, you see right here, we have wood grooming products in front of Chief, in front of I. Looks like you got some aftershave and some shampoo, conditioner, some beard oil.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice stuff. So Barstool, we launched a grooming line, and this is it. It's called Wood Grooming. So it's a new men's grooming line offering products across hair, body, beard, and shave. Wood is for those who would, those who dare to try new things and always planning their next adventure.
Can you smell me from there?
I might be able to smell you.
Well, if I didn't use it, you definitely would. I would stink. Yeah. Okay. So I used that this morning. I've been using the body wash and the shampoo and conditioner. I am a hair guy. I love it.
It's good.
It's a good quality product. Great price point. I wish I had a better beard. I would do the beard oil too. I just can't do that.
Pop it on the mustache. Give it a little.
You think so? You think that would work? Trim that up today too.
Swipe.
Do the swipe, or maybe grow it out and do the twirls. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's like as the hair guy here in the office, I'm endorsing it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wood works and smells as good as it looks. Shop Wood at getwood.com, or that's at your local CVS. So go check it out. New product for Barstool Sports. Getwood.com. All right, Chief. So we got a little bit of a pseudo two-parter today, but we're splitting it up.
Correct.
It's going to be a true split up.
Yeah. Like, we're not just going to add we're not adding the ads in.
Yes.
Posthumously.
Yeah.
We're doing one part today and one part tomorrow. We're talking about the moon landing.
Which this podcast is on year 4. This is year 4.
Yep.
Which is crazy to me as well.
Even you just saying that, I'm like, wait, it is year 4.
Yes. It's crazy that we're on year 4 working here in general.
Yeah.
But it's wild that it's year 4 and we haven't done the moon landing yet.
I know, and it's one of those, for whatever reason, oddly enough, Dante texted me about this like 2 days ago.
Did he?
And my answer to him, and it's probably one of the reasons why we've never done it until today, is I've just never really paid attention to it.
Yeah, I know it's like cause for so much conspiracy theory drama, which I think that's the plan, right? You're gonna get those out today.
Yep.
And then tomorrow we're debunking.
Attempting to debunk.
Attempting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But I know this is like a huge, and I know we're both, we both had our taste of listening to Joe Rogan Experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Eddie Bravo, like this is like one of his big things. I think Joe believed it for a while himself, but I don't think he does anymore.
I think that's accurate. Yeah, but Eddie Bravo is like, he's like a flat Earth guy too.
Yeah.
He's a nut. Yeah.
He's entertainment, man. He's entertainment. So I guess, do you have a take heading in? Are you going to give it after? Because I don't have an opinion whatsoever. I have no reason to believe it's fake. So I believe it's real, obviously.
I believe it's real too. And it's sometimes when the conspiracies are, or the stories are so big that it seems like if it was fake, it would come out by now. The only thing that seems to get like super, super protected is the JFK assassination. But no, I believe it's real, and like I think they landed on the moon. But like there are some things, and we'll get into it, that make you go, huh. And then you need to look into them further. So we'll present the at the end of this, and then tomorrow we'll come back and kind of pick them apart. And again, like I'm not like an astrophysicist or a physicist or anything like that, but we'll bring up what smarter people than us have said about these various things. But there are enough things to make you pause. And the first thing I think about when I think of conspiracy theories about specifically about the moon landing, have you seen that video of Buzz Aldrin? This is probably from like 10 years ago now. We had the freak out draft came out today. We're recording this on Monday.
Yeah.
We could have drafted this.
He freaks out?
So this conspiracy theorist guy, I'm blanking on his name now, but like he's like one of the big guys on the internet about the moon landing was fake. And he confronts Buzz Aldrin at some event in Florida. Buzz Aldrin, old man, just rears back and like cocks him right in the face, like a full right hook. At like absolutely awesome. Like how fucking dare? Like I went to the fucking moon, and you're gonna tell me I didn't? Boom, one right to the face. So I love that about Buzz Aldrin. It makes me want to believe him.
Do you I see Harry, you're twitching a little bit over there.
Harry's a huge moon kid.
Yeah.
So little known fact, Harry and my brother know each other, and I used to take them to like lacrosse practice like 15 years ago, and I would hear those two knuckleheads in the back seat, and Harry would just be like, "Did you see the moon last night?" I'm like, you're a fucking weirdo.
Stop.
Swear to God. Harry's obsessed with the moon.
Are you really?
Oh yeah, I got a telescope at home. I bust that out like once a month.
There you go. See, even with all that light pollution, Harry.
I still try to get it in.
Yeah,
You know?
I have one too. I gave it to my nephew because it's like can't really use it in the city.
Yeah. I've had it since I was like 12 years old.
Hey Harry, I know.
You got anything, intern Lance? No opinion.
I think it's real. I think there's definitely some sketchy stuff that went on.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
All right. Interesting.
But Harry bringing up the Cold War was going to be like kind of my first point to kind of lay the groundwork.
Oh, that works out great.
Yeah, because go ahead.
Because how I knew that he was the first guy he had a radar up for when Bezos went to space.
Oh, what do you mean?
That was like the first thing he's like ever said to me. Like besides, it was like his like second week working here. He's like, man, you see Bezos is going to space? I was like, yeah. What about it? He's like, she seems kind of fishy to me. I'm like.
It is kind of fishy. Why are all the billionaires all of a sudden trying to get to space?
I don't know.
Richard Branson's doing it.
Well,
Musk is doing it.
You would do it if you could.
Well, yeah, but like the fact that all of these guys are all doing it, they've all been rich for a very long time.
Yeah.
And it's like all of a sudden is very in vogue. Like NASA it was only under Obama where he was like, we don't really need NASA anymore. So they did like a big defunding of NASA, and then several years later, it's like NASA's back in a big way, and then all these private companies are doing it in a big way. And it's like, why all of a sudden? Why is space cool again and worth funding again? And it just seems like a little fishy.
Yeah, I'm always thrown off by like 2029, there's going to be a hotel on Mars. It's like, fuck you.
Would you go?
I mean,
let's say the price point is reasonable.
Yeah, it would have to be very reasonable. Like
$10,000 to go trip to outer space. Would you do it?
Sure.
Okay.
Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. I would do that. I
think it presently costs like $50 million to get on Bezos' little rocket.
Oh, really?
I think that's somebody like paid like an ungodly amount to be on that one that didn't even really get into orbit.
Yeah, just like hit the surface.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah, not worth it.
Get a telescope, you see the same stars.
Yeah. But anyway, sorry for.
Yeah, no. So what I was going to say about Harry and the Cold War, like that was the thing, right? It was like we were competing with the Soviet Union across the board on everything, and when it came to space, we were getting our ass kicked. And so all throughout the 50s, and this is like the height of the Cold War. So we've done the Korean War. We're having these geopolitical battles all over the place. Korea, Cuba, Vietnam later, Berlin. There's all these like flashpoints all over the place, and that we're all like kind of like, holy fuck, like we don't want to go to war necessarily, but we also want to show that we're better than the Russians. And a way to do that, you could do it athletically. That's why the 1980 Olympic thing was so big. And you could do it in space. Like you could be like, hey, see, we're better than them without firing a shot. And that was one of those things where it was like, so space became the thing. And like I said, we were getting our ass kicked. They did Sputnik in the 50s. That sent like a chill down everyone's spine. If you've ever seen the movie with your guy, October Sky, Jake Gyllenhaal. Mm-hmm. Okay, and they have this scene in the beginning where you could see Sputnik with the naked eye. So it was nothing like that. And we just go across in the night sky and people would be like, they're going to be dropping nukes on us from those things in no time. So it became like a true space race. And they were up in space and they sent the Sputnik to space. That was the first thing, man-made thing in orbit. They sent the first man to do orbit in outer space. And it was like the only thing left realistically for us to beat them to was the moon, because they had beaten us and everything. And meanwhile, like our rockets were exploding, not even getting off the surface, falling apart. Like we were a joke. And then Kennedy gets elected and he takes office January 1961. And on May 25th, he has a speech before Congress being like, we got to go to the moon. Like we're going to put everything we have behind it. And then, so that was like the official kind of launch of the modern space program at that point. And then a year later, he gives like the famous speech at Rice University, which is in Houston, where like the command center is for NASA and the Apollo missions. And it's like, we choose to go to the moon, not because it's easy, but because it's hard. And he's like, and then because people were pushing back a little bit too. So you have this thing, we got to beat the Russians. And then people are like, why the fuck are we going to the moon? And his response was like, why climb the highest mountain? Why fly across the Atlantic? And then he tucks in, why does Rice play Texas like in football? Like you do these things to challenge yourself because it's hard. And it's like this great, like invigorating speech. And then kind of everybody was just like, all right, let's go. And they poured a ton of money. They got the best and the brightest, all these people. Like that was back in a time when America had the best engineers and rocket scientists in the world. Like some of them were homegrown, and then we had that other, I'll throw that in the blog too. What was the name of that operation where they got all those people out of Germany, all their rocket scientists that were Nazis, and they just brought them here?
Operation Paperclip.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you, Harry. We did a dog walk on that, I think, in year one, 2019.
Did we? I know we did. We did Mongoose and Northwoods.
I'm almost positive.
Maybe. Or maybe it's one of those we talked about. I know we talked about the guy who fucking saved the world.
Yes.
Yeah. I know we talked about him. So we might have mentioned it in that or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but so Operation Paperclip.
Butnick, wasn't it? No, that's... fuck us. This is why we're fucking assholes.
I know.
We can't remember this guy's name after we fucking...
Yeah, like that guy should have a statue in every
yeah.
country. If they built that statue, we would probably know his name.
Yeah.
But Paperclip, they brought over 1,600 German scientists, engineers, technicians, all these things from the former Nazis, because the Nazis were really ahead in rocket technology at that point. And so like another, going back to that October Sky, Jake Gyllenhaal's character, like his hero is Wernher von Braun. Okay, Wernher von Braun was part of this Operation Paperclip, and he was like the head of the space program for the United States, certified, undeniable Nazi. Like it was like he probably should have been like tried in Nuremberg for war crimes. And he was just like, well, you're super smart and you understand rockets, so here's a visa. Come on over.
Wow.
Yeah, and there was like this competition, and they were trying. This was like another one of those flashpoints of the Cold War, because we went to Germany. We had West Germany. Soviets controlled East Germany, and Berlin, which is in East Germany, is split down the middle. And so we were trying to get people, hey, like you're stuck in East Germany, like why don't we'll sneak you out, CIA secret ops, bring them over, get them over to the United States, get them in the space program. So that was, I swear we did an episode on this, but it might have just been a blog. And but that was something that the United States did, and they got these people out who were members, and some were leaders in the Nazi Party, but like they were trying to get to the moon and get to outer space, and they needed this imported intelligence and sophistication from the Nazis. So that's Operation Paperclip, and that was a big reason why we were able to do it. And then, you know, Kennedy gets shot in 63, and it feels like the only policy goal or legacy that he left that was like that people that remained intact, because he wanted to do all sorts of things like we've talked about before. Like he was trying to break up the CIA, he was trying to have peace with the Russians as opposed to competing, and want to get out of Vietnam, and you know, all these different things. And they're like, you're dead, but here's a space program, keep going, let's do the space race. So that's why like the launch pad in Florida is named, you know, it's Kennedy Space Station, and they all sorts of things about the space program are named after Kennedy, because he was the guy who really started it and then like got people like the general American public on board, because it was like, you know, $30 billion, and which back then was like a huge part of, you know, significant part of the GDP, more so than 30 billion would be today. So it was a lot. And then that would also bring us back to the point where it was like, what would be the motivation for faking this? Well, everything I just said. Like we had to beat the Russians. We had to get one up on them. We hadn't beaten them in the Olympics at anything yet. You know, like they were kicking our ass really all over the place. And they had taken Cuba, and they had nukes, and we had nukes, and it was like we had to get like a W in the column, and they deemed this to be it.
But I'm sorry, I don't know. Obviously, we weren't around the time, but why was this the thing?
Because it was like,
I know it's just like more like, oh, look, we're smarter than you, and we're more
basically
advanced technologically than you, but still, it's
our
like,
culture's better, you know, because that was also
wasn't that
like,
pretty given that our culture was better than theirs, though?
No. So
people thought like the Russian way was the way.
Oh, communism, you know, was like going to be the next wave. You know, like people thought that was like the, you know, the workers' rights, and you know, and they had took over, and they, you know, they helped win World War II, which we don't really talk about here ever. But it's like, so you had like these two great superpowers who were so ideologically opposed that they couldn't get along, because each other's way of life and way of government like disgusted the other one. So like they were strange bedfellows to beat the Nazis. But like, even while like we should do an episode on Patton, because I put that on over the weekend too, because Large and Cons and I had like a group text about it, and it's a great movie. But there's at the end where you have Patton is meeting with these Russian generals, and they're doing all the crazy Russian dancing and all this shit in the movie, and Patton's just sitting there with other Americans like stone faced, and the Russian asks him for a drink. And Patton just goes, it was the translator, like, you tell him I don't care to have a drink with him or any other Russian son of a bitch. And so it was like, we're allies at that point. Like, we're winning the war. The war is almost over. Or maybe it was over, and they were like both occupying forces. And like, we already hate each other. And Patton, there's this other phone call where Patton's on the line. He's like, just give me 6 months. I'll go to war with the Russians, and I'll make it look like they started it. There's this quote in the movie. Who knows if he actually said it. And then he mysteriously dies in a car accident in London, like, you know, like in 1940. Like as soon as the war was over, it's like, let's fucking kill this guy.
That movie, does he like do a speech at the beginning? Is that the same
Oh
one?
Yeah,
that's our football coach used to show us that.
It's an awesome speech. It is. Americans. Do you know the speech? Do you remember any lines from it?
I mean, it was one of those things where
traditionally
the lights
love
turned
to
off, you get
fight.
a couple Z's.
Oh, see, that was one that like I might have listened to on my own. You know, like you think their coach is lame, and I'm like, this speech is fucking awesome.
Oddly enough, now that I'm older and like appreciate this stuff, yeah, I want to hear it now.
Yeah. I'll play it for you after this episode. It's a great speech. And anyway, so like that was the thing. Like it was like, we need to prove to people. Like we had the big Red Scare. You've heard of McCarthyism, right? So McCarthyism in the 50s, that was like the height of, the part of the Cold War. But McCarthyism was basically like, we're going to put out anybody who is a communist or a suspected communist, and you're blacklisted. You can't do shit. You're in Hollywood. You're an actor. You're done. And it was because people were so afraid of communism taking hold and taking root here, and McCarthy is like a psychopath. Yeah. And like used it to blackmail people, and it was a whole thing. We should do an episode on that too.
Sounds like a wild time.
It's yes, and it was like, so let's like end this McCarthyism shit, but like we still got to beat the Russians, because we need to prove that we are a better way of life than what goes on over there. And it's not like today where like you have access to information. Nobody knew that Stalin had killed 30 million of his own people. Nobody knew that shit. So it was like we were in dire competition for the right way to live, and it like kind of culminated at a point around the space race. So the theory, the big conspiracy theory, is about one of your guys. I didn't know you were a big Stanley Kubrick guy until we were talking this morning, but he did this movie called 2001: A Space Odyssey. You heard of that? Have you seen that?
I've never seen it, but I've heard of it.
Okay. So where he it's crazy. He predicts all sorts of things, like instant communication across the world, like smartphones, all sorts of things in outer space. And he had this soundstage, and the story goes is that NASA, the CIA, and then other factions of the government, including a guy whose name you might be familiar with under Nixon, and then George W. Bush, Donald Rumsfeld.
We've talked about him.
What a scumbag Rummy is. And so he was initially, Stanley Kubrick was like, I'm not fucking filming your moon landing. Like, I'm not doing that. And then they came back and were like, hey, we know your younger brother is a communist, and we will out him as a communist, and his life will be over. And by extension, your life might be over, your career, even though this was 10 years after the Red Scare of McCarthyism, they were still able, supposedly, that's the story now. He died maybe 20 years ago. His daughter said in 2016 that he didn't, none of this is true. He wasn't involved in the moon landing, but there's a lot of the reasons people can point to him is because 2001: A Space Odyssey looks kind of similar to the moon landing stuff. And then supposedly there's all sorts of little clues in The Shining, which came out in 1980. So the clues that people point to in that one, they say the sun, when he's riding around in a tricycle, he has an Apollo 11 sweatshirt on, which is the moon landing. It was all right, whatever. Then room 237, which is where all the crazy shit happens. The moon at its nearest point to Earth, in orbit, it fluctuates between 265,000 miles away and 237,000 miles away. So they think that number was supposed to signify how far the moon is from the Earth. Then, there has the famous thing where Jack Nicholson loses his mind.
Yeah.
And it's all work and no play make Jack a dull boy. Okay, so he made Jack a writer and an artist, the main character, just like him. And he said that the all, where if it's A and then 1-1, that would be Apollo 11. So it's that's what that meant. And then the all work and no play, there's also people who have said and speculated that making the Space Odyssey or these supposed films almost ruined his life. So he was working on these things. He was in a soundstage for 18 months putting these things together for the Apollo mission, or theoretically 2001: A Space Odyssey, and his marriage was falling apart. His life was falling apart because he was so stressed out working this. So it's all work and no play, make him a dull boy, make him lose his mind.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's, they say that the Overlook Hotel in that movie is supposed to symbolize America. And it's there's scenes where they have a big American flag on the guy's desk, and then an American eagle behind him. And then there's the initial caretaker, the hotel manager, has this line about, oh yeah, this is built on an Indian burial ground. And so the burial ground is so that's why, another reason why they think that this resembles all of America is because you could say all of America is built on an Indian burial ground, So they're trying to say this is America, and then it's the winter storm that traps everybody in. That's the Cold War. So it's they have there's all these
a lot of symbolism.
A lot of symbolism. If you buy into it, you could theoretically get on board with that. And so it's that is interesting. And Kubrick is an interesting guy himself, because he is a legitimate genius. If you're gonna have some guy shoot the and I don't mean that oh my God, he's a genius.
Yeah.
I mean he does complex mathematics for fun, or did.
Yeah.
So he had that ability to do that. And that was where a lot of these theories kind of were centered around him. And then people point to other things about the pictures and of the moon landing and the videos and all that. And there's basically 5 big points. One of them is the American flag. So you know, you've seen, I'm sure, the videos, and like we've co-opted that for like Barstool going to the moon. You plant the flag, right? So it should have been like just flaccid because there's no air, and these are the things that we'll kind of go through tomorrow, because there's no, like, you know, the moon is like, there's no atmosphere, right? So it should have just been, you know, like a flaccid thing, like, because the moon is like in a vacuum. But in the photos and the videos, like, the flag's waving. Like, that makes no sense. Like, how the fuck would that work? So people thought that would be a problem. Okay, so that's one thing. And then, you know, there's different shadows going on the moon. So the only light source that's supposed to be on the moon is coming from the sun. So all the shadows in these pictures should all be going and facing the same way, but you have some shadows going this way and some shadows like intersecting each other, which would make no sense, right? It would make no sense. It should suggest like it's shot at a soundstage where you have multiple light sources making that happen. Okay, the blast circle. So when you have this moon landing device that has like these, it almost looks like a piece of they have like these little like dinner plates and on the landing thing. So on the landing craft, so that goes down when that thing shot back up from the surface of the moon, it should have left like a blast area, and there's just no blast circle there. There's like, you can't be seen in any of NASA's photos. Like, there's just nothing like that. And so people are like, well, that's fucked up. Like, where is the blast? Like, where is evidence of, there should be like a little mini crater there from takeoff from the landing vehicle, and there just wasn't. And the other thing is, Harry with his telescope. So a lot of these pictures, there's no stars when you're taking these, like, in the background. Like, you can't see any. Like, how could there be no stars in this video? You should have like the greatest view of stars ever, and that's like a problem. You gotta sneeze out.
Sorry, I had a yawn.
Okay.
Holding my yawn.
I thought it was like, just let it out.
No.
Yeah.
I was paying attention, but I just don't want to yawn into the mic.
Yep. And then there's like the speech, the Neil Armstrong thing. So it's a giant leap for mankind. If Neil Armstrong was the first man on the moon, it's like, well, how did they film him getting off? So like that to me can be like kind of explained, but we'll get into that more tomorrow. But like, you're seeing him come down the ladder. It's like, well, if he's the first person, like, who's filming it?
Yeah.
Who do you have? Like some producer, Harry, behind the scenes? Like, no, I'm going to go out first. I'll film you getting down, then you get all the glory and the credit. Like, it seems like maybe, I don't know how they got a camera out there or whatever, but these are like some of the big like objections where conspiracy theorists are like, hey, like, this scene is fucked up. Like, what's going on? So we'll get into all that tomorrow, but that is what is like what the big five discrepancies that I could find that conspiracy theorists put out there about the moon landing and why they think it's fake.
Yeah,
or
I'm
it was
watching
staged.
it right now.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
You're watching the moon landing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching the moon landing. Crazy. And did he miss any, Harry? Do you know of any off the top of your head?
I didn't know anything about the Stanley Kubrick stuff. I just
No.
knew about the shadows and the lights, people questioning.
Yep.
I knew there was a tie. I didn't know what it was, and I always knew it had to do with The Shining. And
The stars thing is crazy to me
yeah,
too.
it is.
And maybe there is an explanation for that, but and they have pictures of the Earth from the moon's surface, and it's still like, well, what's going on here? And then the other thing is that people are always like, well, why haven't we really been back? Good question. Like, there was the Tom Hanks movie Apollo 13, and I think they stopped doing, I'll look that up right now, Last Man Mission to Moon. But they haven't done it in 1972. Gene Cernan was stepped off the moon in December 1972, and he left his footprints and his daughter's initials in the lunar dust.
Because they become obsessed with Mars, right? Isn't that like
Well, now-
Mars is the hot girl in the club now?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And like China has done some stuff recently. I don't think they landed, but they've like manned missions, but they've put things like on the dark side of the moon. Like, there's all kinds of like crazy conspiracies about like artifacts and shit on the dark side of the moon, which we could never really see unless we go around and have like our own light source. But there's crazy things like there's like alien like
Yeah.
space stations there, communication devices there. And, but yeah, that's, so why haven't we been back? We found it's this giant, basically, planet right next door. And we're like, nah, we got everything we need from that thing.
It's all good.
It's all good. It's also way more expensive to go now than it was back then, theoretically. Like, why would that be? Like, nothing gets less expensive or it gets more expensive over time. Like, think of anything in the world in capitalism. You buy the first flat screen TV, it's probably like $4,000. You can get one now for $200 because you figure out the technology, everything gets better. Nothing's like now it costs like exponentially more somehow, and we haven't been back in 50 years. That's crazy.
Inflation, bro.
Inflation, yeah. But like the fact that we have not been back in 50 years is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah. What if like no one followed Columbus?
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
yeah. So unless they've just deemed that there's no resources, no nothing, what if there's like gold and oil and all sorts of shit over there that we could find and
You
extract?
think it would be explored more?
You would think.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, all right. That's the. Those are the points. Tomorrow is the debunking, correct?
Yep. We'll debunk it. We'll try our best.
Well, we'll try. Let us know too. If we'll hopefully we'll record after it airs, and we could add
Yeah.
some if we need to.
Yep.
But yeah, thank you, Chief. The moon landing. We'll be back tomorrow. We might do room 237 on Thursday for the doc review.
I'm in for
It's
that.
possible. So
Dante would be in for that too because it is on his brain for some reason.
Really?
Yeah.
So look out for that too. Big moon week. Big moon week. Besides Monday and Friday, would sell. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're getting into the moon a little bit.
Love the moon.
All right, that's it. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow. More moon shit. See you then.